Here to explain mindfulness and why it's getting so much attention these days is Sharon Salzberg, author of Real Happiness at Work, Meditations for Accomplishment, Achievement, and Peace, and clinical psychologist and mindfulness researcher, Donna Rockwell. Welcome, both of you. So nice to have you. So, you know, this has obviously become a huge buzzword in the current culture. And Sharon, if you had to describe mindfulness in a few sentences, what would you say it is?
I would say mindfulness is attention training, so that if we cultivate this power of attention, we have more awareness, we have more balance, and we have more connection to ourselves and to others. And
why do you think it's gotten so popular? It seems like it's such a buzzword. Everywhere you turn, as I mentioned, you're hearing about it. Why is that?
I think it's a dual process. I think we've become much more sophisticated in understanding stress and the consequences of stress. And I think mindfulness and meditation have kind of left the woo-woo realm, you know?
Right.
It was just so weird. And like when I came back from India in 1974 as a meditation teacher, and if I was at a party or some social situation and somebody said to me, "What do you do?" And I'd say, "I teach meditation." Often they would go, "Ooh, like that's weird," you know?
Like, totally.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
But it seems like, Donna, you know, this was something that, as Sharon said, seems so kind of foreign, and now it's everywhere. I mean, tell us about the places mindfulness practices are popping up.
Well, everywhere, from kindergarten classrooms to prisons to sports teams. The Seattle Seahawks practice meditation and they won that year, so it's really infiltrating our entire society. And I think it's because people are so stressed out and they're looking for somewhere to turn so that they don't have to freak out every day, which is what's happening.
I think a lot of it is our dependence on devices, the fact that we're spread so thin, that we're distracted, multitasking, even though that's really not possible. I mean, those things are all contributing to this heightened, stressed out level we're all experiencing, right?
Yes, actually there is no such thing as multitasking. We're just not doing anything well. We can only actually do one thing at a time. The whole big story about meditation is that we do not understand how our minds work. So we are at the effect of wherever our mind goes. The truth is that we can control our minds. Our thoughts are all over the place. And all meditation really is, and we'll do a little bit later, is training the mind how to come back from being lost in the past or the future and being right here in the present moment.
What do our brains do on stress? I feel like those commercials, you know, your brain on drugs. But I mean, what is it like when you're kind of experiencing all these things and you're feeling stressed?
Well, first of all, our brains have components that activate at certain times. At the back is something called the amygdala, and that is the very reptilian part of the brain. That's where the fight or flight response comes from. That's where our anger and rage gets exploded from. Then there's another part of the brain, and it's the prefrontal cortex. That's where our executive functioning comes in, figuring out what to do, wise decision making. And in our everyday lives of being all pent up, we are always in fight or flight response. It used to be there for when we needed to get away from a tiger in the forest, in the jungle, but now it lights up when the light doesn't turn green fast enough.
Right.
So that's why we're really killing ourselves with cardiovascular disease and stroke, and we can learn how to tamp that down and bring up the prefrontal cortex so we know what we're doing.
And what about sort of the physiological changes? I mean, I think one of the reasons this is all so much more accepted and people are gravitating to these practices is there's scientific evidence that now backs up what people, you know, spiritual leaders have known for centuries, right? What does it do to you physiologically, Donna?
And that's why they've known about it for centuries and thousands of years, because it does help keep us well. But with this prefrontal cortex activation and no cortisol pumping through the body, that creates an immune response, and that's why people get sick. So what they're finding through research is that by having a meditation practice, we're actually keeping the body calm and our physiology calmer, and it's curing things like cardiovascular disease, stroke. It's preventative medicine, so those things never happen. It's actually letting us be in control of our physical bodies. And a piece that's not particularly physiological is we are so busy we don't even see the magic of every day, of the preciousness of our lives. And when you meditate, you get way more connected to that, and you experience love more deeply, friendships more deeply, and life more fully.
And more people are also meditating at work. And you say it's not that hard. You know, I think a lot of people think, oh, meditation, you have to spend a half an hour or 45 minutes every morning and every night. And while that may be optimal, right? A lot of people can't do that. But there are ways that you can just take a quiet break and meditate. And you're going to show us how to do that, Donna, right?
I'll do that right now.
And tell us what that is. You call it a 5-breath meditation?
It's called a 5-breath countdown, and I learned it from a professor at Harvard Medical School, so it's got to be good.
All right, are you guys going to help do this with me? Okay, we'll try it.
And I'm going to use my gong, too, because that really helps to set the stage and creates a pause in all of this cognitive thinking, which is what gets us in trouble.
Okay.
So the first thing you can do is you can put your hand on your heart area, your chest, and the other one on your belly. Just for a second, feel your chest rising and your belly rising and it falling and rising and falling. And you can already see that you've already started to calm yourself down. So that's the first meditation. And then the second one, you can put your hands down now if you want. And you can do that anytime. You could do it while you're going to the bathroom, and we have to do that a few times a day. And the other one is counting backwards from 5 through 0. You can do this at your desk with your eyes closed. And I'm going to gong the gong just for the beauty of the sound. And then I'm going to count backwards from 5 through 0. And on the out breath, you can do it in your head with me. Close your eyes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
So how often should you ideally do that? Just whenever you get an opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, you could do it, you can make a point of doing it, say, at the beginning of a meeting, before you start speaking. Because when we return to ourselves, that was a lovely meditation, thank you. When we return to ourselves in that way, we have this space, you know, we can remember our priorities. What do I really want to see happen out of this getting together? And our values. So much returns to us when we return to the moment.
And the cliff notes about meditation is it's so important to do a formal practice because it actually trains the mind to come back from worrying about the past and the future. The idea is just to say thinking to yourself and return to that out breath and return to this present moment. So you can actually do it all day throughout the day. That's mindfulness in action.